Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Grayscale Trust's Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so I first want to start with Bitcoin. So it was and I'll show you guys this real quick. I know this is not about traditional markets, but it was another kind of choppy day. Market's not really doing much of anything. I don't know what the hell is going on. Maybe just like a pullback in time or something. But usually November, December, January, February are extremely bullish. Maybe it just hasn't kicked in yet. But either way, Bitcoin is going up and it's getting very close to pushing to 100,000. Do I think it's going to stop at 100,000? No. So I'm going to tell you what I think is actually going to happen here. So I think Bitcoin is probably going to pop past 100,000 over the weekend because that's when we saw Bitcoin's big move when it broke out from this channel here was during a weekend, if I'm remembering correctly. But you can see we already got past 1.618. So the micro level says 110,000, whereas the macro level, I can just measure it here. And again, the macro goes from basically the previous cycle high to the current cycle low. So you can see it also lines up around 105, 110,000, but then it goes up to 160,000. Part of the reason why I am saying likely 120,000 is, let's see if I can actually get it here, is because of this bull flag pattern. Well, okay, yeah, never mind. Maybe not because of the bull flag pattern. But look, the bottom line is here that I think 100 to 120,000 would be a good number. It really wouldn't shock me. I mean, you guys can see the 3.618 up here at 135,000. So why exactly am I saying 120,000? Well, there's a simple reason for that, because Bitcoin, basically from right around this range, you can see the low of this range is at 60,000. A $120,000 Bitcoin would put it at 2x the breakout point. Okay. So basically, we got like 30,000 to 60,000 here. You guys can see how that played out. And then when we broke these levels right here, where did we pump into and then pull back into 30,000 in the last cycle? And then we pumped up to 60,000. And then we had a pullback and then we went higher from there. So you guys can see how this would kind of line up with the current cycle. So if we get that breakout and then the pop, double the price, would put it at roughly about 120,000. Then maybe we get the pullback into maybe somewhere in the 90s, and then boom, start popping off to the upside again. Personally, my targets for the end of the year is still going to be roughly around 120 to 140,000. It could do 140,000 also as well. I mean, 140,000 would basically be from this breakout point to a 2x from the breakout point of these kind of March highs back here. So yeah, I do think Bitcoin's actually going to break 100,000 over the weekend. Now, even with Bitcoin going to 120 to 140,000, we may not still may not even see alt season happen until Bitcoin kind of does this. Okay, kind of just go sideways right at the top. Then ultimately, we may start seeing a kind of a falling off of the Bitcoin dominance, but we're not seeing that yet. Okay. All right. So before I get into the trusts, I did want to cover CleanSpark and the miners real quick. So miners did actually go up quite a bit. We did also add to our positions on the miners, or the one miner that we have, I should say, at this point, because we don't have Mara or Hut 8 or Riot anymore, although we do still have the call debit spreads on both CleanSpark and Riot, and we are expecting those to go fully in profit. So massive green day for CLSK today. Okay, we'll just have to wait and see if this continues, but it had a nice little pump. We have added some shares here, so currently sitting at 810. Again, what did I tell you guys about position trading? There's two ways to do it. You can either position trade at the exact level you want to get into, whatever dollar amount you're willing to put in. Like, let's say you have a set limit of 10,000, you're not willing to do more than 10,000, then you would look for your, precision point entry, whatever that price is, preferably at a major support level, and then let it ride and just say, well, I put the money in. I don't want to I don't want to buy any more of this, because I don't want to put all of my money into it. So I'm going to go do something else while I wait for the price to pop, right? You could do that. Or if you were premature on your entry, or if it sits in that consolidation of support longer than you would expect it to, and you feel comfortable doing it, you can add more to it as time goes on. That's essentially what we're doing here. Okay, we got in prematurely, thought it was going to pop, decided to average down, and now we're positioning in, or what I should say, we have been while the price has mainly just been going sideways and looking like it's about ready to pop, which it is currently doing. So you can see we added some shares here, added some shares here, added some shares here. Now, the initial shares that we added, the bulk of it was actually at the open. And at the open, that was when the prices were the lowest. And so, yeah, you can see here 7:30 a.m., a little bit here, slightly after the open at 6:48 a.m. The price had basically just kind of sat flatlined after dumping. So we're like, it seems like a pretty good price. We didn't want to buy any unless it got back to 10 to 12. I don't think it's going to go that low again. And don't quote me on that, but it's really looking like it just doesn't want to go back down there. So now we have an average cost basis of 16.64, reduced from 23.50 down roughly about $7 a share. So I do want to cover that real quick, and then we'll get into the actual trusts. So nice big green day, green weekly close right off the EMAs on the weekly time frame. Got the golden cross right above the support. This candle here is actually above this previous red candle, which is also a very bullish sign. And we're pushing up against this kind of $15 level that I told you guys about before that could be a major resistance. If we get even a candle close above kind of that 15.15 area where we're currently sitting, even one weekly close above that, I would say it's probably going to rocket up to at least 18 to possibly even 21. Could even go as high as 23.50 before hitting any major next level of short sellers or resistance. So in terms of the positioning, I mean, it's pretty basic. Like we got in here, right? So premature. So we just said, screw it. We don't want to get out for break even. We want to make money. So we decided to kind of average in when it looked like the price was eventually going to go back up. Inverse head and shoulders, gap needed to be filled. Support lining up there, holding these trend lines. EMAs were getting ready to converge up. We got the golden crosses down here. We said, okay, maybe now's the time to load the boat. So we did. And as long as it sits kind of around this 12.50 to 14, we'll probably still buy more. But I mean, considering the fact that it's gone from negative to positive and ending the week, considering how crap the week has been, and the other miners are up too, which we'll talk about in a later video, I would say likely it's probably not coming back down. Okay, so LTCN, let's start with this one. So we do still have the golden crosses down here on the indicators. The price has not moved yet. But look, I'm gonna show you guys some charts before I actually get into this of literally situations where everybody was like, oh, it's dead, it's not going anywhere, this isn't gonna do anything, this is a piece of crap, like all that kind of stuff. Like dissenters that really just run their mouth and they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, they're just operating based on emotions. Look at what happened with Dogecoin here. Okay, got a little sideways move, big pump. Everybody loved it then it dumped, and everybody was like, oh, this is garbage, I'm not buying that SHIT, And then what did it do? It went sideways. Oh, it's boring, doing nothing, going nowhere. And then popped off and did a 10x in literally a matter of weeks. Okay. I'll show you guys another chart. Bitcoin, same thing, right? We kind of just went, oh, that's the Bitcoin dominance. Sorry, wrong chart, y'all. Whoops. Okay, so we had the little bull flag here. Everybody was saying it was crap. We were saying, no, I don't think so. Pretty sure this is a bullish pattern. It's going to play out bullishly. That's exactly what happened, because Bitcoin is not going to chop sideways for 6 to 8 months at the top of a move and then dump after 8 months. We've never seen that in Bitcoin's history, so I had a hard time believing that. I'll show you guys another example, or a couple examples in stocks. Okay, so Robinhood. What do we see here? Lots of sideways chop. What happened after we got out of the chop? Boom, massive rip. Okay. Again, the people that were looking to make money were probably accumulating in this block or even before this block, and then boom, it did a 2x. Same thing with Affirm. I can literally show you guys this ad nauseum all day long. Okay. When it was going down, oh, it's garbage. Screw this. It's going absolutely nowhere. This thing's a bunch of pile of dog, you know what? And then goes up. Everybody loves it. Goes sideways. Oh, it's garbage. Guess what happens? Big move, right? So from here, once they got the golden cross to above there, 117%. From here to the high is 77%. I can even go over more examples. You guys are literally going to see the same thing repeat over and over and over. Okay. Palantir went sideways, broke out, went sideways a little bit more than it really broke out. Okay. And not every single one of these charts are going to look different, but from the bottom of that accumulation block to the top, what did it do? 215% gain. Soundhound is another good example I can show you guys. Nice little sideways chop right here. Can literally just kind of draw a box here, showing you guys exactly the same thing. Nice little chop. What are we getting right now? A breakout. How far has this thing gone down from the accumulation block to the swing high? 110% gain. I'll give you guys another example. Probably could even show you this on Mara. I wouldn't be surprised if we were seeing something like this, okay? Again, another little accumulation block here. Looks kind of dead, right? Nothing's happening. What do we get? We get a nice big fat breakout. If you had bought in this accumulation block, especially at the bottom, you'd be up. If your average was down here towards the bottom, you'd be up 100+%. I can even give another example here. Like SoFi, we had SoFi for a while, and I really wish we would have held this longer. I mean, man, it hurts. I'm not gonna lie, it hurts because we had our shares at like $6 or $7 on SoFi, and now it's at 15. So, whoops. But it just goes to show the power of patience, right? And being willing to sit back and wait and let your shares ride, which most of the time they do. 161%. All right, so I don't think I need to rehash this anymore. Let's go ahead and get into the charts. So what is LTCN doing right now? It is, in my opinion, consolidation and accumulation. Again, we got the indicators here as a golden cross. Buy zones right now are still going to be somewhere between, so it is above the EMAs, but still within the channel. So I'd say it's anywhere in the channel, okay? So roughly about 13 to about 1730. Targets here are going to be 25 to 55. We are still buying Coney. Those of you guys that are wondering, we are still buying Coney and native cryptos. We'll go over that later this weekend. 330% gain here. BCHG, nice little pullback. I mean, look, if you love these prices up here, then you should love them down here, right? And as a matter of fact, you shouldn't even want to buy them up here. When you see this Burj Khalifa pattern, you should be like, yikes, overbought RSI. Maybe I don't want to touch this. I can't tell you guys what to do with your money. I'm just telling you guys, if I saw this, there was a reason why we sold out in this area, okay? Because it just didn't look like it was going to keep going up. It looked really, really expensive. Okay, so again, what are we seeing right now? Mostly sideways in an accumulation block. I've shown you guys this literally over like 7 different assets. What you want to do with it, that's up to you. So buy zone here, roughly about 6 to 770. Targets 1035 to 24. So maximum move here about 280% gain. HZEN still going mostly sideways. Again, I can literally just keep drawing these same exact blocks here. I mean, over and over and over again. What does it usually do when it breaks out of the block to the upside? It has an insane move. So buy zones here, 350 to about 410. Targets 690 to roughly about 10.5. It's about a 200% gain here. ETCG. So here's a good example of what an accumulation block looks like in the grayscale trusts before a breakout. Okay, so we saw it go sideways, 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 sideways. Oh, it's dead. This thing's effing dog. You know what? It's garbage. I don't want to touch it. And what do you know? We had a breakout candle. So just from the bottom of the block here, and again, we have this, but we didn't add to it. We could have averaged down, and as of right now, if we had averaged down all the way down to the bottom of this block, we'd be up 74% right now. So I don't think I need to say more about that. So buy zone here, 10 to about 1060 if you manage to catch it at the EMAs. Targets 1350 to 20. 102% gain here. If you guys are looking for an early sign to get out of these at a profit, at least, even if they're not at the all-time highs, looking for the RSI to be overbought is on the weekly time frame is a pretty good signal. Yep, same thing here with ETH. So again, it's not so obvious unless you draw on one of these blocks. We got the breakout candle here in the last couple of weeks. We've been going up. But I would say targets as of right now for buy areas would be pretty much anywhere in between this red zone, so 2330 to 2860, because once it gets outside of there, it's probably going to launch. 53, the cup and handle target, that would be the target for this one. 122% gain. Okay, GBAT buy zone still down here between, I'd say about 4.25 to 540. Targets are going to be 810 to roughly about 32. 610% gain, and we did just get the first, looks like the first actual weekly close here of the greens, so that could be an early sign. This thing is about ready to pop. Again, alt season should be probably within, I would think, no longer than maybe 3 months from now. I wouldn't even be surprised if it began sooner than that, but usually it's right around the start of Q1 that Bitcoin's getting pretty close to topping out, and we start to see some money roll over into the altcoins, into Ethereum and stuff like that. The legacy ERC20 tokens. Okay, meme coins are hot right now. I'm aware of that. Okay, at some point they won't be hot, and all the money is going to flow from the sexy to the boring, so to speak, which would be like your file coin. Akash, other things like maybe Horizon, Dash, let's see, Bitcoin Cash, basically any kind of token that you can think of right now that's doing absolutely nothing. Ethereum Classic, any of these that have not pumped yet, maybe Track, for example. So you just have to go through CoinGecko and look at these, but like IOTX, for example, I can tell you guys right now that thing's barely moved. A lot of those are garbage coins. Yeah, they're eventually going to pump. I'm pretty confident because it literally happens like that every single cycle. So you guys are going to understand there's a lot of people in this space that have shiny object syndrome. Okay, they want to flock towards the thing that's already pumping. They don't want to buy it when it's boring and dead and doing nothing. That's when the whales come in and buy the stuff, is when it's doing nothing. Okay, look, I'll give you guys this analogy. Okay, boring is sexy. If you want to make the most money in crypto or in the stock market in general, if you're looking to position trade or to swing trade or have like a 1 to 2 year hold on a position that you think is going to do massively well in the future, that you've done your research, all that jazz, boring is sexy. Okay, when it is the most boring, when the prices are the most depressed, is when you have the greatest opportunity. Remember, I told you this. Boring is sexy. Okay, while everybody and their brother is flocking to the new shiny object, we're looking at boring and sexy. That's what we want to be, and that's the reason why we bought something like Filecoin, because nobody's talking about it. Okay, everybody's talking about Dogecoin or this coin or that coin or any other coin that's already gone up 10, 20, 50x. Okay, we want to be in the coin that nobody's talking about. So eventually, when the shiny object people come over to that coin and it does 10, 20, 30, 50x, we can take profits. Okay, and we won't care if it goes higher. If it goes higher and they make money, cool, we both win. But we just don't want to be chasing the rally. That's the point here. Okay, so FILG support still 32 to 45. Targets up here roughly about 400. I mean, a lot of people in this space, and I'm not knocking retail, they have very short-term mindsets. Okay, it's like most of these people spend all day staring at their phones. They're not thinking about like, oh yeah, if I buy this coin at the bottom in 6 months, it might pump from now. They're like, is it going to pump today and tomorrow? That's how these people think. So 1,000% gain here. GLIV, I would still say buy zone somewhere between 650 to 12 on this one. Target would be the all-time high, or if you think it's going to go even higher than that, higher than the all-time high, we'll talk about that in a later video too. 1,050% gain. G-Link's starting to show some signs of life. Again, I can do the accumulation block again here. Okay, looks like we're just getting ready maybe to break out of this on this candle right here. So the buy zones right now, I would say probably probably somewhere in this box. Okay, we're above the EMAs with the green candles, so 65 to about 83. Target would be 220 in this case. 245% gain. If you're really worried about it, maybe you could wait for a pullback to 40 to about 42, somewhere in there. GSOL still looking kind of ugly, but again, we did get oversold on the RSI on the weekly time frame, which is a very, very good indicator. That's something that the whales absolutely love. Okay, whales, position traders, they see oversold on the weekly or higher, or even the daily or higher. They're in there like Superman, dude, or like Batman. They're just like, oh, I just have to get in there right now. Cannot wait. That's how these guys think, believe it or not. Okay, so we got to close above support here on GSOL. 166 to 208, in my opinion, is going to be the buy zone, because again, the candle is above. We got the breakout candle here, right? Now we're retesting the support, so that's why this is the buy zone. So 300 to about 580 is going to be kind of your potential targets here. And again, it could easily go much higher than 580. I mean, it's Solana we're talking about here. 250% gain. GXLM, this thing is absolutely exploding as far as I know. Actually, I can show you guys this right now. There may be some correlation here. I'm not entirely sure about this, but it does appear that Stellar Lumens is absolutely rocketing. I mean, dude, I literally can't make this stuff up. Look, accumulation black. It's dead. It's doing nothing. And then, oh my God, this thing just did a 3x. Let me go ahead and chase this thing after these fat green candles already popped up, right? And again, I'm using sarcasm, and I'm not saying that I'm going to do that. I'm just saying retail traders, they think like this. Okay, so GXLM, I'd be looking for a pullback around the gap, around $28 for a buy area. That would just be me. 52 to 70 would be the targets. We can talk about higher prices after that. About 150% gain. Mana. In the case between GXLM and XLM, there is actually some correlation there. I was not aware of that until today, but so maybe I don't know. It's hard to say exactly when and why these trusts are going to pop off, but there was some correlation here between the underlying altcoin and the actual trust, so you guys can see for yourself. All right, Mana still below the EMAs. The $10 area I would say is the buy area here. 1730 to 70, and you know, I mean, look, we're literally doing what we're telling you we're doing right here with CLSK, the native cryptos that we're going to show you on the weekend, and Coney. Okay, the price is dead, it's going nowhere, it's sitting there doing nothing, kind of at the lows. Yeah, we're literally buying at those levels. We're practicing what we preach here. Okay, 600% gain on this one. Zcash, same thing, just a big fat accumulation zone, 325 to about 6. Targets here 8 to about 10.5. 230% gain. Now, you guys may be thinking, oh, well, these were the tops back here in March or whenever they topped out, right? LTCN, earlier this year, these were the tops for all these. Look, you guys got to understand, these things topped out, and I do want to point this out, okay? Look, and this is going to be the last thing I talk about in this video, just so you guys can understand exactly what I'm seeing here, okay? Bitcoin topped out right around the time that LTCN hit its high, okay? So Bitcoin was already pretty much done with its move by the time LTCN had even hit its high. You guys can see this thing didn't even start actually running until March, okay? LTCN itself did not start running until March, whereas Bitcoin, if we go back here, you guys can see the Bitcoin had already topped out in March, okay? So it's possible that LTCN, and again, I'm just using a small example here. It's possible based on this comparison that LTCN may not even start running at all, or even a little bit, until Bitcoin actually gets at or near its all-time high. So just keep that in mind. All right. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.